There's an old basic American fiddle tune called the Arkansas Traveler. And it's a basic standard tune. And in the 19th century, it was a pretty regular minstrel show routine, and where they would, fiddler would play just the first part and then stop, and there'd be a little patter like, hey, farmer, which of these roads can I take to Nashville? You needn't take neither one. They've got one there already. And then they'd play the tune again. And they'd do this for a while, and then finally they'd realize they didn't know the last part of the tune, and they'd finally get to it. So one day I'm noodling around with an East European tune, a common tune all throughout East Europe, but played a little differently. And anyway, Arkansas Travelers, let's see. That's the basic thing. You probably all heard it on cartoons whenever they show a farm. And then there was this East European tune, which, let's see. Now I've forgotten it. So I don't know if you could hear it from that sample, but basically it's the same notes, just putting a slightly different feel to it. So I imagine, and then I was thinking about, there was a character in that's a folk hero kind of story, folk trickster in the Middle East, Mulla Nasrudin. Mulla is a title for someone with advanced spiritual knowledge and experience, and Nasrudin is anyway the focus of a lot of these folk stories in the Middle East. So I imagine the Arkansas Traveler meeting Mulla Nasrudin in Romania, and so this was the result. So the mullah goes to see a rich man, and he says, give me some money. The rich man says, why? The mullah says, because I want to buy an elephant. Rich man says, well, if you don't have any money, you can't afford to keep an elephant. And the mullah says, I came here for money, not advice. Say, Mullah, how old are you? 40? Well, hold it. That's the same answer you gave me 2 years ago when I asked you. Yes, I always stand behind what I have said. So every Friday, the Mullah Nasrudin would show up in this market town with a very nice donkey, which he would then sell very quickly at a very low price, way below the market. So one day, a rich donkey merchant comes up to him and says, you know, how do you do it? I can't figure it out. He says, you know, I sell my donkeys at the very lowest prices I can, and my servants force the farmers in the area to give me fodder for free. I let my donkeys graze on my neighbor's land. And my slaves do all the work without any wages. And I still can't meet your price. How do you do it? Nasrudin said, simple. You steal fodder and labor. I merely steal donkeys. So tired and disheveled and looking terrible and ragged, he arrives at an inn one night. And he's starving and has no money. He goes to the landlady and says, I'd really, please give me some dinner. I'm so hungry, I'm so starving. She looks at him and thinks, what kind of bum is this? You know, I'm not gonna get any money out of this guy. Forget it, we're out of food, he says. So, oh my God, no, I'm so hungry. If I don't get some food, I'm gonna do what my father did. She said, what did your father do? And he said, never mind, but if I don't get food, I'm gonna do what my father did. Well, she's terrified. What the hell is this crazy guy going to do? So she goes and she gets all the food in the house and brings him a delicious dinner, and he eats it all, and he's very contented, and he's burping and happy after the meal, and she sees he's happy, so she says, listen, you mind telling me what did your father do? He said, my father, when he couldn't get food for dinner, he went to bed hungry. Hey, Nasrudin, your wife's dress is mighty short. Well, it'll be long enough before she gets a new one. Guy comes running into the tea house where the mullah is sitting in contemplation and shouts, quick, we'd better do something fast. We got to do something. A monkey has picked up a knife. Don't worry, says Nasrudin, as long as it wasn't a man. So this guy's in a tea house complaining to all his friends. He said, I lent a silver piece to this guy, and I had no witnesses, and now I'm afraid he's going to deny owing me the money, and I'm not going to get it back. The mullah hears this, and he speaks up. He says, invite him here. Invite him here to the tea house, and then in front of all your friends here, casually mention that you lent him 20 gold pieces. And the guy says, but I only lent him one silver piece. And Mulla says, exactly. He'll shout out the same thing. You wanted witnesses, didn't you? So that was the instrumental part. That is a tune that's played by all through the Balkans and Eastern Europe, gypsies, klezmer, Yiddish musicians, and others. And the instrumental version I was playing is from Romania. The stories were from the Middle East. And the vocal part I sang was in Yiddish, and that's from Lithuania. And that translates... Yoshka, Yoshka, run the horses, make sure they don't stop so we can get a good price when we sell it. And the chorus is, the rabbi has said that we should dance and sing and drink brandy, not wine. So my father, the fiddle I used to play was my father's violin. Like many people from my grandparents' generation, the greatest opportunity to get out of the ghetto was to produce another Jascha Heifetz. So all the relatives I knew that were my father's age, that were male, they all had violin lessons as children. So there are all these well-worn family stories of the sacrifice and conniving and effort that went into my grandmother getting a fiddle for my father, a violin for my father. And he took violin lessons, and he told me about him, and his teacher would hit him on the knuckles if he made a mistake with his bow. Now, I never was inclined to play the fiddle as a child, or my father's violin. It was a special object. I treated it like something magic, but I never desired to play it, or maybe it was simply I never was willing to do anything in which I would get my knuckles rapped. But as a 40-year adult, I got interested in playing the fiddle. I was living in California, and I came home to New York, and I casually mentioned about my father's violin. I had fallen into disrepair, and I suggested that maybe it would be worth him getting it fixed. And his response just totally shocked me. He had never been possessive with me about anything in my life, not his car, not his tools, not his desk, not his books. But now he said, when I'm dead, it'll be yours, and you can do what you like with it. And, okay, so I went back to California. 3 weeks later, though, nevertheless, he sent it out to me. And it was in terrible shape. It was in terrible shape. The seams were open. It had serious cracks. The bridge was broken. The sound post was broken. The varnish was worn off. The wood was all discolored. It was just terrible shape. And as a favor to a mutual friend, a famous luthier agreed to repair it. So I showed up. His workshop was built into a bank-style vault. And when I arrived there, I saw why. The instruments he normally worked on were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. Anyway, he agreed to fix it. And when I went to pick it up, I couldn't believe my eyes. He hadn't just repaired it. He had completely restored it. It was just beautiful. And I couldn't believe that he had put so much care and attention into this junky old fiddle for a beginner fiddler, particularly since I knew the class of musicians he normally worked with. So I'm standing there holding it in awe, and I casually asked, what do you think this is worth? And he took the fiddle back from me. He hugged it to his chest, and he scowled at me and said, "You don't sell this fiddle. This is your father's fiddle." So, fill it in the cracks. Fiddling in the cracks. I fiddle to fill in the cracks in my life. The cracks between my dreams and my realities. The cracks between me and my ancestors. The cracks between a world in which you learn in isolated communities and a homogeneous one of instant global communication. The cracks between me and the universe. The cracks between my love and my hate, between my commitment to joy and my need to make a living, between what I know and I don't know, between my personal dignity and my role in society, and most importantly, the cracks between me and you. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Band. Okay, yeah. Oh, I forgot, very important message. The management does want us to clear out fast, but we got lots of CDs for sale. I got CDs from Cajun Zydeco, from the legendary Chanka Chank band that Lou played with me in. We got even a few Peachy Nietzsche CDs. We got Bazaha Lala CDs, which is East European and Cajun, and we'll be selling them when we clean up. Also, playing the gamut that features my beautiful wife's beautiful singing, and that's mostly Irish and Scottish and Appalachian music. And now that I mentioned my wife, today is our anniversary. Our 21st. And she still makes me feel like a newlywed. And anybody who's put up with me for 21 years deserves an applause, yeah. Thank you so much, everybody.